Good morning. I'm with Kroontje, CEO of San Lorenzo Gold. San Lorenzo is traded on the TSX Venture, and they are currently with a drill turning down at the Salvadora property in Chile. Al, how are you today?
Hey, doing well. Thanks, Robert. Great to be with you.
Yeah, it's good to speak to you again. I missed you in New Orleans, although I saw you from a distance. These conferences are pretty busy sometimes, so that can happen. But it's great to hear that San Lorenzo is drilling at the Cerro Blanco target. So why don't you give us an update on how that's going?
Yeah, sure. We finished the first hole. We actually let people know that we saw similar things in that first hole of this program to what we saw in the first hole of the program that was done earlier in the year. So that's encouraging. That's all we've released so far to the public, but I can tell you that we're just finishing the second hole. Mechanically, we've had a couple of challenges with the drilling rig. It was just rebuilt, and they found themselves in a situation where some gearboxes needed work, and so it didn't go as fast as maybe we would like, but it's just a mechanical thing, and they seem to have solved all that. So we're just finishing the second hole.
Okay. And so I seem to recall the plan is to test some of these newer, targets in the IP chargeability survey that you've identified. And so is that basically what you're doing? The first three holes are pretty much planned according to script, and then you'll go from there based upon what you're seeing in the first three holes?
Yes, and we don't have assay results back yet. On the first hole, they weren't submitted until about 3 weeks ago, so we probably have a week or two to go still. Our aim here is to cut across these IP anomalies from a chargeability and a resistivity perspective and see what's going on there. Now, we admittedly haven't gone deep yet. You'll recall that first hole that we drilled on Cerro Blanco, the chalcopyrite to pyrite ratio started increasing. We do need to go a bit deeper there, but I would point out, of course, that we're drilling down to about 300 meters of true vertical depth, but we're still sitting at that point even 120 meters higher than the valley floor to the north. Our collar locations are about 420 meters higher than that valley floor. So um, we're having interesting results where that first hole seems to confirm those IP anomalies that we had seen on the 2018 survey that we didn't get to drill in the last program. And I'd remind you that there seems to be a trend there of IP anomalies from the first hole and second hole that we drilled down on the southern line to that great looking IP anomaly that we got in the recent program, which is right on trend with the strongest anomaly that we got in that 2018 program. If you extend that out, it goes towards the valley floor where you can see the alteration right from there. So it's pretty encouraging. In fact, it's very encouraging.
So hole one, you're basically saying it lines up with the 2024 holes that were pretty good. I mean, you had over 100 meters of 1+ grams and a couple of holes there at Cerro Blanco. So basically, you're seeing similar potassic alteration at depth that still gives you confidence that this is, interpreted to be a porphyry setting.
Well, we're convinced that it's a porphyry setting. We're seeing porphyry style alteration and mineralization in these holes. What I was indicating, of course, was that when we drilled the first hole in the first program earlier in the year, we've moved to the northeast to this really strong chargeability feature that we got in the program that was in May of this year. But if you continue in that same direction to the northeast, that's where that strongest IP from the older survey was. And that lines up in a trend heading towards where we see the alteration from the valley floor. Now, I'd like to expand on that for a minute, Robert. Our interpretation right now is that it appears like things are wrapping around that lithocap that you can see on the surface. It's pretty early in the game here. So saying things like that, we need more drilling to do that. And so I'm just telling you what our preliminary view of the situation is, but it has the potential for being a very, very, very large target. So yeah, we're pleased.
Okay. And the depth of these holes, I mean, it's in 2024 and earlier this year, you drilled holes down to about 250 to 350 or so meters. Are you going a bit further in these holes, maybe to 400 or 500 to see what's at depth?
We drilled the first hole at 485 meters.
Okay.
Now, keeping in mind that they're 45-degree angle holes. So yes, do we go deeper? Yes, but more importantly, we're going across the feature so that we can test the width of the feature as opposed to at depth. I'd be the first to say that on that strong anomaly that we just finished in with hole one, we probably need to go steeper as well to test at depth as well. This program is targeted to teach or to test, I'm sorry, the width and cut across the system as opposed to go to depth. I mean, it's no secret that we should have taken the first hole, which you're right, didn't go very shallow or very deep. We should have taken that deeper, but hindsight's 2020, and of course, we didn't have assay results at that time.
So if this is a porphyry setting, what is the current interpretation or opinion basically as to why the copper grades are so much lower than the gold grades? What happened to the copper?
Nothing's happened to the copper. We're still in the upper part of the system.
I see. Okay. Very interesting. So maybe you do need to test deeper in some of the future drilling then.
There's no doubt about it. We should have tested the first hole deeper. Chalcopyrite was starting to appear there, and yeah. Well, let's not go back in history, hindsight 2020 and all that stuff. What's the point? But you're absolutely right with your assessment there, Robert.
Okay. So based upon what you know today, Al, do you think you're going to drill more than 3 holes at this target area in this phase of drilling? And, might it be 4 or 5 or even more holes?
The plan right now is to move after the third hole to Arco de Oro, which deserves a lot of attention. Having said that, there's a big desire to drill a hole at a steeper inclination into the feature that we just drilled, or get access to the location where that strong IP anomaly was to the northeast. That was part of the 2018 survey, not this most recent one, which was the strongest one there, and to test the continuity of the system, as well as to start thinking about drilling to depth. We're still budget constrained, so to say let's just go and do whatever, we have to be cognizant of our budget, but we're funded to get this drilling program done, which includes the 3 holes at Cerro Blanco, and 5 holes at Arco de Oro.
Okay. Let's go to the Arco de Oro target, which is a very large strike extent gold zone with a lot of artisanal showings, across the strike extent. I think it's over 2,000 or more meters actually. But a question that has come up is the drilling you've done to date in this zone, are you just going and testing some of the artisanal showings to depth, or are you stepping out into new areas? And is there a plan to drill some of these gaps in in the trend, essentially the areas where you haven't drilled?
Great question. In the press release that we kind of described our drilling plans, you'll note that there was some very strong IP showed up in what we'll call a northern extension of Arco de Oro. Arco overall is 6 kilometers long of strike. We are testing about 3 kilometers north of where we've drilled before with this program based on IP, and there are artisanal workings that go all the way to the end of that. So we're doing a combination of IP and artisanal working drilling, like in other words, underneath them, to try and figure out, how long is this system? It's a pretty basic exploration tool when you use artisanal workings, pretty shallow, 5-10 meters at the most, but they sure show you where to go. But the IP seems to be correlating to some of that, and it's exciting. We're going to be stepping out about as much as 4 kilometers from where we were before. So this is pretty high impact, the drilling that we're going to do at Arco de Oro coming up here.
So 6 kilometers is the total length of the trend. And what is the width essentially that you've proven to date through drilling?
Well, Arco de Oro is a system of parallel and intersecting veins, epithermal vein system. You might call it swarming. It's not really a geological term, I don't think, but they seem to come together and then they split. And so we've tested a kilometer of strike where we've intersected more than one vein system, especially on one of 25, which was the first hole, that we drilled here recently at Arco. And it intersected 3 different vein systems. We published that, and it's available on our website. So there are other systems that we've identified for drilling as well, based on both surface geochem and IP and old workings. And we need to get to that. For instance, to the southwest of where we've drilled already, we have surface samples, chip samples, not just soil or random sampling of over a meter of chip that have been 115 and another 150 grams per ton. So that stuff deserves to be tested. But then we have the interesting problem that the IP suggests that there's some strong systems there. And so what fed these epithermal zones? I mean, conventional thinking would have you believe that intrusions that cause porphyry type deposits and splay epithermal system, the veining systems, appear together often. So that's a theory that we're working under, but keeping in mind that we've been very fortunate with our drilling. So let's say that, but we have a lot more to do. So we're really pumped about drilling to the northwest, almost 4 kilometers. You said 6 kilometers, it is. And that's what we can see artisanal workings at surface over that strike length. So these veins have ways of ballooning and thinning and coming and going. And it's not just one vein, it's a system of them. So it's pretty attractive, but we need to drill more there.
Yeah, definitely. You need to drill more. And, honestly, it seems to me based upon the results to date, I mean, you've only drilled 8 holes, I believe. And, some of the results include 23 meters of 4.8 grams and 9.7 meters of 4.4 grams. And there's some other good holes as well. I mean, that's a pretty good hit rate. And those are very high gold grades. Is this the kind of target that would actually warrant putting just 2 drills there to test the full strike extent of this and just say, look, we need to spend the money because the project is that good that it warrants the money to be spent?
100%. There's no other answer to that.
Yeah. So instead of proceeding the way you proceeded for the last 6, 7 years, maybe it's the time to scale this thing up and actually do a larger financing.
Well, it would be no surprise to you that many people have said that to me now, and with very strong urgings, shall we say, that this deserves a lot more attention and a quicker scale of exploration / development delineation than what we're giving it right now. And don't forget, we haven't even touched Cabaya Muerto. We haven't done any work on Tres Amigos, which you can trace the system for 2 kilometers to that same valley floor. And son of a gun, if you look across the valley floor, you see the alteration coming up on the other side. So yeah, it's a great property. It needs a lot of work done to it.
At Tres Amigos, there's a drill hole from 2016 that hit 34 meters of 1.48% copper with 0.22 gold and 8.5 grams per ton silver. That is a very, very interesting result, starting at 36 meters depth to hit 34 meters of 1.48% copper. I think there's some questions that need to be answered there. And even in a 2018 hole, you got 25 meters of 1.04% copper at Tres Amigos. So what's going on there? I mean, that's looking to me like maybe a supergene zone of a porphyry, or maybe just a higher grade porphyry. A lot of questions to be answered there.
Are there ever? We don't know. We've got such limited drilling, but we have done sampling geochem over that whole area, and it's anomalous for copper. So yeah, we got to get after it. You're absolutely right. We have to pay some attention to both Cabaya Muerto and to Tres Amigos. It's not part of this program that we're doing right now, but you can't say any of these things with 43-101 certainty. But when you look at that hole that we drilled in Cabaya Muerto and the intercept there, I mean, people probably don't realize this, but our surface geochem over the system has the gold coming right up to surface there. So that's a very significant target.
Cabaya Muerto, 112 meters of 1.44 grams per ton gold and porphyry style mineralization. 4 follow-up holes drilled and each encountered good gold grades in porphyry style. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty. Every time I look at San Lorenzo, I look at the results, I look at the different target zones, and I say, man, this is a unique project because the hit rates are so high, and yet you haven't done a ton of drilling yet. You haven't really tested this, I would say, properly. And so it always begs the question, like, when are we going to really get after it here, Al?
Well, and let's just go to Cabaya Muerto. That's the last one you mentioned. Well, we need to build a road up the backside because that's the real way to access this. We've figured out now that from the front side, there's additional drilling that has to happen, whereas from the backside, we almost get into it right away. That's about $100,000 touch to build that road. So as we sit here today, we don't have that budget, but we need to make it so.
So if you were to guess the plan here today, you're going to drill these 3 holes at Cerro Blanco. You're going to go do the drilling at the Arco de Oro target. You're going to get all the assays back from this phase of drilling. And then is it going to be the time, let's guess maybe February or March of 2026 to actually really sit down and do some hard thinking about the plan going forward and, financing and maybe, expanding the team?
Well, I can tell you those discussions are already happening. It's clear that the team does need to be expanded. We're having some interesting discussions about that, preliminary, of course, and I promised that we would get drilling done and see what we've got. But these are moving live targets, live situations. And so, yeah, we've had a lot of interest from people saying, boy, this really needs to get accelerated, shall we say. So I wouldn't expect that your timeline of February, March, I think you said, is when we sit down and really think about it. I don't think that we're going to wait that long.
Okay. Very interesting. And, as far as the technical details, do you plan to publish the collar, locations and all the drill hole depths for the, historical holes?
They are published. I found out subsequently that we put them in kind of a bad place, which was at the end. They were at the end of the condensed presentation as an appendix. We're in the process of just making that its own spreadsheet with a title on it, but it's on our website right now. Not the holes that we're drilling in this program. We have not added them yet, but all that information is on the website as part of the appendix to the condensed investor presentation, and has been there for probably 4 to 5 months.
Interesting. I missed it because I always go to the expanded technical presentation. I don't see the condensed one. Okay, well, it's good.
Yeah. Really, it's my fault. I mean, I got to get to it, but I've been away for a bit of time here, and I mean that has a lot to do with expanding the team as well, right? So that some of this stuff can actually get attended to a little bit quicker than what it is.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, because I was talking to one other investor and he said, I can't find their drill collar locations, but you've had them published the whole time. They were just kind of hiding in plain sight.
Why don't I make sure I do this? Let me make sure that by the middle of next week, we have separated them and they are on their own. They're on their own with a separate title. It's always good to make a commitment like that, because then you better darn well live up to it. So now I know I better get that done.
Yeah, you're on record, Al. You're on record.
Yeah. All good.
So to put a bow tie on it, hole 2, you said, is wrapping up, and then the rig will move to another pad for hole 3. Is that right?
Yeah. So we're doing three holes. We delineated those, described those holes in a press release that we put out a little bit ago.
Right.
So 3 at Cerro Blanco and 5 at Arco de Oro.
Okay, very good. And the samples for hole 1 have all been shipped to the lab, I take it?
They have. They've been there for well over 2 weeks.
Okay. And then once hole 2 is concluded and logged, that will be shipped off to the lab, I take it?
That's correct. That process is underway, getting them to the labs.
Okay. Very good. Can you tell us anything about hole 2 in terms of how deep it went or anything else?
I don't know that would be appropriate in an interview like this. I think it would be better that we get public disclosure on it first before I start talking about stuff that isn't in the public domain.
Okay. Very good. Very good. Is there anything else that investors should know? Is there anything else that I didn't ask that you think is important to mention?
No, not really. We're on track with what we said we were going to do. It's taken a little bit longer, admittedly. Some of it's mechanical, but approvals are in place. We got those. We're on track with what we've told people. So we're excited and we're looking forward to getting this drilling program completed both at Cerro Blanco and Arco, but we're also excited to get going at the other three targets, one of which hasn't even been drilled yet. That's Caballo South, of course, but Tres Amigos and Caballo Muerto, they warrant follow-up. So, yeah, there's a number of, it's an interesting property that's got a lot of blessings on it.
If you could describe to us your vision for 2026 for San Lorenzo Gold, what would it be? Like maybe in a sentence or two.
I think you're going to find by the end of 2026 that the management team will have been significantly expanded, that there will have been a lot of drilling going on, and with hopefully continued success.
Very good. Thank you for your time, Al. Cheers, and I wish you the best of luck with the drill program, and we'll do it again when it's appropriate.
Hey, thanks, Robert. It's always good to be with you.
Cheers.